Now going into building fiercer, stronger muscles. I see Marilyn put hormones, Pam put hormones, Delcia put hormones. Awesome. So I know you guys want to learn more of that. And yeah, we have different lives, honestly. So it's good. When you contribute, we'll try to get back to you on there and see what we can help you with. All right, number 7, building fiercer, stronger muscles. So what are some common mistakes I want you to keep in mind for building fiercer, stronger muscles? Okay, number 1, not having a structured workout program and jumping around to every new move or workout idea. Okay. Being careful about this. I understand like you wanting variety, which is okay a little bit, but not too much. Like you want to make sure you stick to a structured program. And I say this all the time. If your goal is to build more muscle, you need to get good at a certain move. If you're doing a certain move, for like maybe like a month, but you haven't increased the weight on it yet. You haven't increased the depth of your lunge squats or the depth of what you're doing. Um, eh, Sometimes like you trying to jump to something else so fast, you have no ability to make it better, right? So make sure you are on a structured program, okay? Um, okay, number 2, wanting to look like a competitor but training in the wrong way. So I want to explain this. A lot of the women that follow me, they love the really like toned look and really nice muscles and really like they want to look sort of like a competitor, not compete, but they sort of do. But you train in the wrong way. You have to look at your program and be like, okay, what is this program actually doing? Am I doing a CrossFit training program? Am I doing a HIIT training program? Am I doing some sort of ninja gym stuff? Am I doing powerlifting? Am I doing Olympic lifting? Am I doing functional training? Or am I doing hypertrophy training, which is hypertrophy is bodybuilding, which is building the muscle shape and size? Okay. I know some of you who are new may not know the divisions. There's more than this, but those are some of the main divisions. Is those ones I just named off. So you have to ask yourself because like I think like there's nothing wrong. I like to train if sometimes maybe some HIIT things, or I'm currently training more in powerlifting and Olympic lifting because I want to become more well versed in those areas. But for 10 years I trained in bodybuilding and hypertrophy, right? So the reason is you need to look at your program as like how is this designed? I will tell you that like a lot of programs out there, if you have the knowledge, are actually HIIT programs and like more CrossFit kind of programs, like kind of like very like 1 minute this, 2 minutes this, 1 minute of this, and 2 minutes of this. That's very different than hypertrophy training. That's very different. You know what though? Why those are good and sometimes they get people excited is because they're exciting and they're like, whoa, like let's go, and they pump you up, and it's good. I'm so glad they have things like that. But you have to be honest with yourself. That type of training does not produce the muscle shape and size of what you're trying to achieve. So I'm just trying to remind you, be careful what kind of program you have. Okay. So I'll share a story with you. I currently train a guy. He's in the dance scene and from New York. And so one day this year we'll probably go down to New York, but like for some of my dance training. But he told me he wants to look this certain way, and he showed me a picture. This was last year, a couple months before December, and we're still working on things. But he started saying, I want to do this, I don't want to do this, I want to do this one, I don't want to do this. Okay, so I just had a conversation with him and said, I totally understand where you're coming from, but I have to be honest. As a coach, if you want me to change all these things in your program, you're not going to achieve the physique of what you're looking for. I hope you have a coach who's honest with you, and I hope you have someone who actually understands your goals to design a program that's for you, because he has his ideas of what he wants to do, but hypertrophy training and the way you need to build your muscles require a certain methodology in how you train. Can these methods cross over? Absolutely, but there's still a reason why they're a specific discipline, right? Can I ask all of you, is soccer the same as basketball? Is basketball the same as baseball? I think you guys know where I'm going with this. They're all sports. They all have a goal to train yourself to for the game and to shoot the ball towards some sort of goal. Okay. That's awesome. They are not the same. So be very, very careful. Yeah, Marilyn says no. What you're doing. Okay. I want to emphasize this because a lot of women come to me and they say, I do these workouts. And I say, okay, show me your workouts. And it is not really a bodybuilding workout. And they say, I haven't been able to achieve the physique I want. And I say, well, because that's not the design of that program. And so you have to be very, very careful about that, unless that's not your goal. If that's not your goal, then that's okay. Evaluate what is it that you want, right? So I'm just trying to be very honest with all of you, right? So and not just like hype you up. Like sometimes my biggest thing is when people try to hype you into a fitness thing, like it's going to be so exciting. Like this is the program you want. But it's like, no, I'm trying to teach you how to think about fitness programs and what is the right one for your goal, for what you want. Right. So that's number 2, common mistakes for building fierce or strong muscles. Number 3, not being realistic about your goals. Okay. So this one is pretty common. I think you might have heard this before. Okay. So sometimes we look at pictures online and we say, I want to look like that. So you set a goal of wanting to look like that, but not truly understanding what it takes, how long it takes, and the methodologies involved with it. So specifically, I've had 2 conversations really recently in regards to someone showing me pictures of like really fit people, of like the way they want to look. And I said to both of them, you know that both of those are in a shredded state and they're probably right before competition. And they're like, oh really? I'm like, yes, because you have to know what you're trying to strive for, because and you should talk to an expert. You should talk to someone who understands that, because if you're trying to strive for that and that's a pre-competition state or a post-competition state, that may not be realistic. And you have to also keep things in mind, okay? If some of you are training for muscles or you've never trained like maybe to that level, you have to kind of go, well, like it's awesome, but like how long did it take this person to achieve that? Like you may look at Oshone or, I when I was in my competition states, like it's like you're like, I want to look like that. I'm like, okay, well, that took 3 years to train to get there. Do you know that? Right? You have to be realistic. And if you don't know, if you're not sure, ask your coach or ask the person who is helping you so they can be honest with you. And make sure you ask someone who you trust, someone who's not just trying to be like sugarcoat things and be like, yeah, you for sure can achieve this, but like, no, okay, you want to achieve this. This is probably going to take a little bit longer and it's going to take, a couple years to make this happen. I rather someone tell me the truth, and not just be like, oh, yeah, you can achieve this, right? So be realistic about your goals, okay? And seek expert advice in regards to that. Number uh number 4 of common mistakes for building fierce muscles. So not getting guidance and coaching on technical lifts to improve your technique. This is another really common one where many women and I would say the younger generation is a little bit better, like because they grew up in the culture of lifting weights. Maybe a little bit older generation, um, you know, don't have as much base, but there's a lot more. I find a lot of women, you lift more with your joints than with your muscles. So what I mean by that is the way you lift, you're activating or overstressing the joint, then you are actually inactivating the muscle. And this can lead to joint injuries, uncomfortable joints, or just not like feeling great, or just not seeing the muscle results you want. The way you lift has to have a muscle connection. And I find a lot of times, technically speaking, a lot of women are joint based or they compensate. Okay. And when you compensate, what does that mean? Your muscle compensation is you use the muscle that is strongest to accomplish the move, which means you may bypass the muscle you're supposed to work in the move. So you get better at the strong muscle you already have, and you still don't develop the weaker muscle that you're supposed to develop. Marilyn says, yep, me and my RDLs until you corrected me. Yes, exactly, Marilyn. A lot of people in their RDLs are not proper, right? And so a lot like the RDLs, you do it incorrectly. You're putting stress on your low back. You're putting stress on your hip joint. You might be even stressing your knee because you locked your knee too straight. Like, unless you are actually technically coached on it, you may be doing more harm than not. And so being very careful about that. And, not to be extreme. Sometimes it's not that extreme. You just might not get the results you want, right? You might not injure yourself, but I find a lot of women train a lot and they never see the results they want. And I will tell you, it has a lot to do with your technical executions, right? So, and how many of you feel like you need better technical coaching? Put technical coaching if you feel that is you. So, technical coaching. Okay, so put it below if you feel like that is you. Hi, Carolyn, good to see you. She was previously in the transformation program. Okay, another mistake in building muscles is I'm kind of repeating myself, but is not understanding nutrition and where and how important protein is. Protein is very crucial to you building muscle, especially as you age. However, I am going to say that when it comes to building fierce muscles as you age, you really do need to understand the interaction of protein, carbs, and fat. Okay. And the percentages you have, because it's the interaction of those compounds that make a big difference. I mentioned this before, and today's not the live for it. As you age, women have a preferential use of fat for resource and energy in their lifting, whereas men has a preferential source for carbs. This comes through a lot of research from scientists because of how the body operates. So you need to know sometimes these things, not only hormones, but how these macronutrients need to line up to get your best results for your physique, right? So it's like the mistake is just not understanding your nutrition, right? So just keep that in mind. Delcia, I see what you put there. And Marilyn says, I find overcompensation comes when the weight is too heavy. Yeah. Marilyn, so just a comment on that. It's true when it's too heavy, it's not proper, but you need eventually to lift a bit heavier to produce some of the muscle growth. I'm not saying super heavy. I'm just saying you do need a level of heaviness, and you should be able to achieve that if your technical execution is proper. Okay. So, for example, I'm looking obviously to train heavier and heavier in my bench presses, as I'm not sure, but I might compete in powerlifting for my bench. So I'm going for heavier and heavier with proper technical coaching. My coach fixed my wrist, my coach fixed my body position, my coach fixed my leg position, my coach fixed a lot of different things with me, because with technical precision, I'm going to be able to do heavier and heavier. So it's not to avoid heavy weight, but it's not to go crazy either. But the key is actually to learn your proper technical execution, right? So that's the really important part. Hi, Andrea. Good to see you. Um, okay. Uh, and there's one phrase I want you guys to keep in mind, okay? Because like working and building muscles, I said you have to understand your nutrition better. I want you guys to all keep in mind, because I know a lot of women, especially in the fierce woman community, because even the word fierce, what do you think? It attracts women who are like fierce, who are like doers, who want to work hard in the gym. I notice a lot of you are like that, which is awesome. I love that you're in our community. But it's not about working harder, it's about working smarter. Okay, put it below. It's not about working harder, it's about working smarter. You need hard work, but you need effective work. This was something I learned a long time ago from my mentors. Okay, Clarice is that pusher, just like Kat Wilson's on here. I'm a pusher. I will push and I will make and do things. But I realized a long time ago, I do so much. I work so hard, but it wasn't effective work. It wasn't smart work. And then I learned from my mentors, smart work makes a big difference in your life, not just lifting, in your financial life, in your business life, in a lot of things. Okay. So stop just saying, I need to work harder. Ask yourself, are you working smarter? And is the work you're doing effective? Is it producing results? Ultimately, the work you do has to produce results, Doesn't matter how many books you read, how many lives you attend of mine. If you don't see results on the back end of it, then you need to go, maybe it's not effective work and I need to go find some coaching or guidance. Right. So just making sure you pay attention to that. I saw some hearts come in, which is awesome. So how many of you feel like you want to build fiercer muscles? If you want to build stronger, fiercer muscles, put fierce muscle below.